Hey, how's it going? It's Sam Frost here, back with some more digital marketing advice. In today's video, I want to talk about gating content and why, in many instances, it's not the right thing to do. So, really common practice that businesses will engage in is they will hide content behind a sort of gate where you have to put in, your name, email, maybe company name, phone number, all those kind of things, and you'll get access to something like a white paper or a downloadable guide or something along those lines. And it's a really popular thing to do because from a business perspective, it's an easy way to generate leads in the sense that you're getting people's details, and then hopefully you can follow them up with emails and maybe convert them into a customer or whatever the case may be. Now, there are some upsides to this gating lead generation, but there are also a lot of downsides that need to be considered. And depending on what it is you sell and to whom, particularly if you're a business selling to other businesses, and if you're selling kind of complex solutions, you're solving problems, and you might not have a massive number of potential customers to sell to, I tend to advise to avoid gating. Gating does make sense in some instances. Things like if you've got, say, a software product and you're offering a free trial, well, you need to know where to send the installation instructions and product registration, all that sort of stuff. I have no real issue with gating content there, but what you've tended to see over time is this model develop where everything that could be kind of remotely useful or beneficial information, some businesses are locking that away behind these email sign-up forms that go into their HubSpot or ActiveCampaign or CRM system. And I don't think that's best practice. One of the reasons being that your customer or prospective customer, just because they've handed over their name and email address and phone, it doesn't really make them a lead. Particularly in B2B sales, where really there has to be a problem that has arisen or sort of poked its head up in order for that business to actually be able to take action and purchase something. So just because someone's downloaded a white paper, for example, because it's got some kind of interesting sounding content to them, doesn't really mean they're a lead in the sense that they may not be anywhere near being ready to be in market. And so what you get is this kind of scenario, this mismatch, this disconnect where businesses who are doing the gating think, hey, this person's filled out this white paper download form, they must be a lead, but the person who's actually filled out the form, they just want a bit of industry insight and information. They've got no problem that needs solving right now. It doesn't matter how many automated follow-up emails you send them through your HubSpot or whatever the case may be. You can't necessarily convince them to buy your product because they can't buy it until they have a need for that product. Now, it is quite different, I'll admit, on the consumer side. It might be a case that you could gate a discount code for your website, your e-commerce store, behind a email address sign up, and then someone puts in their email address and then they get that discount code and then they don't buy immediately, but after a couple of weeks of following up they might go and purchase. That's a bit different, but most of my client work revolves around business to business sales, and there I find that there's this general mistaken belief that if you can get people's details regardless of whether they are ready to buy or not, whether or not they're in market, you can convince them to purchase at some point, and that's not necessarily the case. The other thing to look at as well is that when you gate content, take something like a white paper or an ebook or whatever the case may be, you're potentially putting people off actually engaging with that content. And what you really want to be doing is actually getting that content that's adding value and demonstrating your credibility into as many targeted hands as possible. So say you drive 100 prospective customers to a landing page. If you're gating the content, you might get 5 of them or 10 of them sign up, give you their details in exchange for that download. If you just allowed people to download it without giving anything, you might get 50 of them. Now, it's just made up numbers, but you're almost certainly going to get more people engaging than if they have to hand over their details. And the thing is, the people who download that report, that white paper, the ones who are best qualified to become proper leads because they actually have a problem that needs solving, they're going to be smart enough, almost certainly, to be able to then take the next step and come back to your business and engage with you. And if you can get out of this mindset of everything has to be tracked end to end in terms of a digital journey, and it's more about building awareness and engagement with your brand and the value that your business provides to the market, and once you do that, the customers who are ready to purchase or in a kind of in-market phase, they can come back to you. That tends to improve performance even if it's not so easy to track. So if you've kind of got to let go a little bit of that desire to track everything. Another reason I'm not the biggest fan of gating is because it can impart a really kind of negative experience on the user of your website. So think about it from a different context. Imagine if you went into an electronics store because you wanted to buy a new TV. You go wander down the TV aisle, you see the TVs, and you want to just find out some basic stuff. How much does it cost? What are the specifications? What's the warranty? All that kind of stuff. A lot of people would be very put off, myself included, if the salesperson said, well, I can't tell you any of that unless you give me your name and email address and phone number first. And we all know what happens as soon as you fill out one of those forms and you hand over your details. You're going to get emails, you're going to get called up, you're going to be hassled and kind of chased down until you either unsubscribe because of spam or you tell the person to go away or maybe you purchase. but that whole experience is not good. Imagine if that played out in real world stores. It's like going to test drive a car. You know, you should be able to look at the car and sit in the driver's seat and open the boot and look under the bonnet without handing over any information. Of course, if you want to test drive, sure, you need to hand over some information, but that's at the point where there's enough kind of relationship established that the exchange of value makes sense. But what you get with this gating model, particularly in the B2B context, is businesses trying to lock everything, product brochures, pricing, specifications, all that sort of stuff, put it behind a gate because we want leads, but you're asking for too much too early on in the process, and it imparts a very negative experience. So if you're still gating lots of content rather than kind of genuine value add content where it really makes sense to gate, like a free trial to a software product or something like a webinar where people do kind of need to register to be able to attend, if you're just gating all your reports and white papers and all those kind of things, experiment with taking that gating away. Now you're going to lose some data, some insights. It's going to feel a bit nerve-wracking, feeling like you're losing leads, but 9 times out of 10 in my experience, it's a more effective approach because more prospective customers are going to engage with that content. They're going to see your value. They're going to see the knowledge and the expertise your business brings to the table. They're more likely to trust you, and when they're more likely to trust you, when they have a problem that needs solving and they're ready to purchase, they are more likely to come back to your business. If you've got any questions on this, please do let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.